Piaget was a Swiss psychologist who is best known for his work on the cognitive development of children. His theory focuses on how children develop intellectual abilities and how they come to understand the world around them. He believed that children are not simply passive recipients of information but actively construct knowledge based on their experiences. His theory is often described as one of the most influential in developmental psychology. According to him, children move through 4 main stages of cognitive development, each representing a different way of thinking and reasoning. These stages are the sensoromotor stage, the pre-operational stage, the concrete operational stage, and the formal operational stage. Let's look into each of these stages. 1. Sensoromotor stage. The sensoromotor stage is the first stage of cognitive development theory, occurring from birth to about 2 years old. In this stage, infants learn about the world through sensation, sensory, and movement, motor. For example, senses, touch, sight, sound, taste, and smell, and actions, grabbing, sucking, looking, and listening. This stage is divided into 6 smaller sub-stages, showing how babies develop step by step. Reflexive stage, born with automatic reflexes. Babies rely on reflexes like sucking, grasping, and blinking. Example, a newborn automatically sucks when something touches their lips, like a bottle or pacifier. Repeating actions with their body. Babies start to repeat actions that feel good, but only with their own body. For example, a baby might accidentally suck their thumb, like it, and then keep doing it on purpose. Repeating actions with objects. Babies now repeat actions, but this time with objects because they realize they can affect their surroundings. For example, a baby shakes a rattle and hears a sound, so they shake it again to make the sound happen. Purposeful actions. Babies now start to plan their actions to get what they want. For example, a baby sees their favorite toy under a blanket and lifts the blanket to find it. Experimenting like a little scientist. Babies love trying new things and testing different ways to do something. For example, a baby drops a spoon from their high chair over and over, watching how it falls and making their parents pick it up. Thinking before acting. Babies start to imagine things in their heads before doing them. They also begin to copy actions they saw before. For example, a toddler watches their parent talk on the phone and later picks up a toy phone to talk like them. Object permanence. One of the most important developments during this stage is the concept of object permanence, which is the understanding that objects continue to exist even when they cannot be seen, heard, or touched. Before developing this idea, infants believe that when something is out of sight, it no longer exists. Object permanence means knowing that things still exist even when you can't see them. For example, before object permanence, you hide a toy behind your back. The baby thinks it's gone and doesn't look for it. After object permanence, you hide a toy under a blanket. The baby knows it's still there and tries to find it. Object permanence is a big step in a baby's brain development. It helps babies understand that people and things don't just disappear when out of sight, like when parents leave the room. This is why babies get separation anxiety. They now understand you still exist, but can't see you. 2. Pre-operational stage, 2 to 7 years. Jean Piaget's pre-operational stage is the second stage in his theory of cognitive development, occurring between ages 2 to 7 years. In this stage, children develop symbolic thinking but still struggle with logic and perspective taking. Here are the key characteristics. Symbolic thinking. Children begin using symbols, such as words and images, to represent objects. For example, they may use a stick as a pretend sword or engage in imaginative play, or a child picks up a banana and pretends it's a phone, saying, "Hello, Grandma." Egocentrism, inability to see things from another's perspective. Children have difficulty understanding perspectives other than their own. For example, a child covers their eyes during hide and seek and believes that because they can't see others, others can't see them. Because of egocentrism, younger kids sometimes struggle to understand other people's feelings. Animism, believing inanimate objects have human emotions or intentions. They believe inanimate objects have feelings or intentions. For example, a child says, "My teddy bear is sad because he was left alone in my room." focusing on one aspect of a situation and ignoring others. For example, when shown 2 rows of 5 pennies, one spaced out and the other close together, the child insists the spaced out row has more pennies because it looks longer. Lack of conservation. Children may not understand that quantity remains the same despite appearance changes. A child sees 2 equal glasses of juice. When one is poured into a taller, thinner glass, they believe the taller glass has more juice. Irreversibility, difficulty mentally reversing a process. Children struggle to mentally reverse actions. If the shape of clay is flattened, they may not realize it can be reshaped into its original form. A cookie breaks in half. The child refuses to eat it, saying it's ruined or bad, even though it still tastes the same. 3. Concrete operational stage. Jean Piaget's concrete operational stage is the 3rd stage in his theory of cognitive development, typically occurring between the ages of 7 and 11. During this stage, children develop logical thinking but still struggle with abstract concepts. They begin to understand the world in more organized ways, moving beyond the limited thinking characteristic of earlier stages. Here are the key features of the concrete operational stage. Conservation. Children in this stage understand the concept of conservation, which means they realize that the quantity of something remains the same, even if its appearance changes. For example, if children pour the same amount of liquid from a tall, thin glass into a short, wide one, they understand that the amount of liquid hasn't changed. Reversibility. This is the ability to mentally reverse an action or operation. Children can now understand that things can be undone or reversed. For instance, if a child sees that a ball of clay has been flattened, they can now imagine it being rolled back into its original form. Classification. Children develop the ability to classify objects based on shared characteristics. They can now group things into categories and understand hierarchical structures, like sorting animals into mammals, reptiles, and so on. Seriation. Seriation refers to the ability to arrange objects in a series based on a particular characteristic, like size, length, or weight. For example, a child can line up sticks from shortest to longest. Transitivity. This involves understanding the relationship between different objects. For example, if A is greater than B, and B is greater than C, children can understand that A is also greater than C. Unlike earlier stages, children can now focus on multiple aspects of a problem rather than just one. For example, they can consider both the height and width of an object when determining its size. For formal operational stage, 12 years and older. Jean Piaget's formal operational stage is the 4th and final stage in his theory of cognitive development, typically beginning around the age of 12 and continuing into adulthood. Key features of the formal operational stage. Abstract thinking. Children can think about ideas that aren't physical or real. For example, children might think about things like freedom, justice, or the meaning of life, things that can't be touched or seen. Hypothetical thinking. Children start to think about what could happen or what might be true, even if they don't have all the facts. For example, children can imagine what the world would be like if everyone followed the same rules or if a certain event never happened. Problem solving in a systematic way. Children can solve problems by thinking about all possible solutions before deciding what's best. For example, if children were trying to decide how to handle a situation with a friend, they would think about every possible option and weigh the pros and cons. Propositional thought. This refers to the ability to evaluate the truth of statements or propositions without needing to refer to real-world situations. For instance, they can evaluate the statement, if all humans are mortal, and Socrates is a human, then Socrates is mortal, and understand the logical relationship without needing to observe Socrates directly. Thinking about one's own thinking, metacognition. Children start to be aware of how others think. This means children can think about others' thoughts, figure out what works best for learning, and adjust how to approach problems. Examples of what this looks like. Hypothetical situations, children can answer questions like, what if humans could live on Mars? What would we need to survive? Children can think about these what-if scenarios, even if they aren't real right now. Abstract ideas, children might start discussing things like morality, what's right or wrong, or ethics, what people should or shouldn't do, and think deeply about these big topics. How does this stage develop? Early formal operations, around age 12. When children first start thinking more abstractly, it can feel a bit messy. Children might not always know how to handle abstract ideas, but children start to understand them more. For example, children might start to see the bigger picture or imagine things that don't directly affect them. Fully developed formal operations, around late adolescence and beyond. As children get older, their ability to think logically, solve problems, and handle abstract ideas gets stronger. Children can think about the long-term future, imagine different possibilities, and come up with better solutions to problems. They might also become more interested in discussing deep ideas like philosophy or society. So, to sum it up, the formal operational stage is when children start thinking about abstract ideas like what if, future possibilities, and big concepts that aren't directly in front of children. Children can solve problems more carefully and think about their own thoughts in new ways. To conclude, the theory of cognitive development highlights how children's thinking evolves over time, moving from a simple, sensory-based understanding of the world to more abstract and logical thinking. He explained how we learn new things using two main processes known as assimilation versus accommodation. Assimilation, adding new information to what you already know. Accommodation, changing what you know because of new information. Your thinking doesn't change much, you just add to it. For example, you know dogs have 4 legs and bark. You see a new dog breed you've never seen before. You still know it's a dog because it fits into your idea of dogs. Accommodation, change concept. You change your thinking because new information doesn't fit what you believed. This helps you learn new things and grow. For example, you see a cat for the first time and think it's a dog because it has 4 legs. Someone tells you, no, that's a cat. Cats don't bark. You adjust your understanding and create a new category for cats. Piaget's theory of cognitive development provides a foundational framework for understanding how children acquire knowledge. Although some aspects have been challenged, his emphasis on active learning and developmental stages continues to shape modern educational practices. His work remains essential for psychologists, educators, and parents in fostering effective learning environments for children. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more.